So I will introduce our group. So 𝐼millionAtOne came about in, I believe it was late 2020. And it's interesting how we're still a small group. There's nowhere near a million, but the quality definitely is off the charts. And we also have quite a few members on the other side of the veil, which are heavenly members. And one, I'm going to dedicate this to my mom. So, my mom, Sue Campbell, was a regular member until her first stroke, and then we actually included her in a few of our meetings, our groups, as she was in her hospice bed, and she remembered everybody, and it really, I think, supported the high frequency way that she left us. So I'm wearing her sweater today. I loved when she would wear this, and it's blue. And she and I both loved blue. So there we are. There's our branding color. So I'm going to turn it over to Thaddeus to start us off, I believe, with our Monday group, Monday at 12:30 Mountain Time. We meet and we've been doing miracles meditation for, I think, at least 4 years, over 4 years, regularly. And we have studied A Course in Miracles up through, we're in chapter 15. We did go back and do chapter 1. So in the archives, I have a person who's joining us, and she can't attend in person, but what a gift to have the archives, especially chapter 1, ready to go so that people can get a feel of the discussion. Okay, and I'm going to let Thaddeus tell you more.
Yeah, thank you, Christine. So the practical ways to balance your mind, body, and spirit, we're going to incorporate this with the holy instant, as the Course in Miracles calls it, and really talking about the importance of community as well. So these are going to be the different types of communities that are available with Christine. We have the Miracles and Meditation, the Divine Connection, and the Conscious Mentoring, all a part of the 𝐼millionAtOne community in of itself. So I wanted to bring a, just a little bit from the actual Course in Miracles book itself that talks a little bit about the holy instant and what that is. And so I'm going to read this here and then kind of go through it a little bit and do a soft analysis of it. So, time is inconceivable without change, yet holiness does not change. Learn from this instant more than merely that hell does not exist. In this redeeming instant lies heaven, and heaven will not change, for the birth into the holy present is salvation from change. Change is an illusion taught by those who cannot see themselves as guiltless. There is no change in heaven because there is no change in God. In the holy instant in which you see yourself as bright with freedom, you will remember God. For remembering Him is to remember freedom. And I thought a lot about this because this is the verses that stood out to me the most in reading A Course in Miracles recently. And I mean, really, what it's saying is grow up, be useful, remember where you've come from, and you're going to have freedom. And it's really not that complex. It's really not that complicated. And the way that things go in the way that this ties in with the holy instant is that remembrance of time is an act of timelessness. And so when you get to the holy instant, which, even that is a conception, right? But when you get to the holy instant, there's something that happens in which you experience that timelessness. You experience that salvation there from that sentence 4. The present is salvation from change. So you are giving birth to the present based off of the archaicness as well as just the modernity of the present and past. So, why is having a community important? Well, communities offer a sense of healthy accountability and having each other's backs. Now, this is something that with the Course in Miracles book, you're able to see a different side of yourself that you might not have seen before. Because what I found is what's so interesting is that sentences while you're reading the book are going to alleviate certain what I call thought algorithms in your mind. And these thought algorithms are going to shift as you read the book. So not only is it giving you certain modalities of thought, it's also reorienting your thought algorithms so that you can perceive reality in a more holistic fashion. And the more that you do this with people, there's going to be what develops as I call a contagious positive energy field. And that'll be accumulating around these like-minded people. As Cristine mentioned right before this, the quality of the community is what's super important. And I always say, me personally, I would rather be around a few lions than a bunch of hyenas. And I would rather be around those lions that are ready to go than just because hyenas will eat each other. They'll eat each other. Uh, Lions will fight each other, but they will never like eat each other. And that's part of having a healthy dynamic sometimes is you have to be able to intellectually and uh, not necessarily physically, but being able to like spar with each other on a spiritual level, because that gives you guys both a more solid, or whoever it is that's involved, it could be the whole group, right? It gives the whole community a sense of understanding and groundedness. Also, one other thing that I've learned with having the community is that you learn how to think as you speak. So you're literally learning how to be in real time. You're being in that holy instant, right? That what we just talked about in the verses before in the actual Course of Miracles. You're actually learning how to be in real time. And that's something else that I think is very powerful that you get in a community, is because when you're socializing properly and you have all these different ideas bouncing around in a positive way, and sometimes, it sometimes the truth doesn't always seem positive, but truth always is a form of love. And so sometimes there's truthful things that are talked about, but you have to learn how to think as those truthful things are being said and spoken to, and you're expressing yourself properly, right? I mean, I just thought about this now. Bruce Lee, a martial artist from decades ago, he once said, "Be like water. If it goes into a cup, it becomes the cup. If it goes into a bottle, it becomes the bottle." And that's kind of what you have to learn how to do as you be. So many people are told nowadays, no one's coming to save you. I'm not sure how many people have heard that before, but I hear that quite a bit in my niche. And because I'm very much more involved with like physical health and nutrition and such, and everybody says, "Oh, nobody's coming to save you. You've got to do the work yourself," and that's true to a large degree. But how true is it really when it comes to like a community, right? And having that strong spiritual community, where strong communities are the antidote to all of the evil that tries to impose its will upon us. And so that's how we fight the spiritual wars, is by developing these strong communities. And I think platitudes like "no one is coming to save you," it can actually hinder your ability to connect with real people, because you start to, because that is a thought algorithm. No one's coming to save me. No one's coming to save me. That's a thought algorithm. And if you continue to tell yourself that, you're going to start to really have a lack of love for people. I perceive, as far as the logical response down the line, that's what's going to happen. So having a culture within that community that creates an inner richness is going to be the most paramount thing going forward. Because Bob Marley was once asked in an interview, "Oh, like, are you rich?" And Bob Marley says, "Well, what do you mean rich? What type of richness are you talking about?" And then the interviewer says, "Oh, like mansions or houses or cars or whatever." And Bob Marley says, "Oh, I don't have that kind of richness. My richness is life forever." And I thought that was just, such a profound way to view life. And to close out here, I'll send you all off with a verse from Matthew 18:20. For where two or three are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst of them. Thank you.
That was amazing. Thank you so much. I just have to ask you this question. Had you been exposed to A Course in Miracles before you joined us? What was it, 2 months ago?
Yeah, 2 months ago. No, I haven't.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So I love that point of attraction because you just explain things in a way that are so masterful. And for that to just work for you, that's the frequency that I would like to attract. I totally agree. I don't know if I'd use the lions and hyenas metaphor, but I definitely would use you know, the metaphor of, the frequency levels where you've got certain people that are the teachers, right? And that are up in that frequency to have an impact that ripples out in a way that is large. But it only takes a few people to do that. And those few are quality. Yeah, it's not a quantity thing. I totally agreed. Thank you.
No
So
problem.
now I'm going to speak about conscious mentoring. And that is our Tuesdays at 9 a.m. There is a shifting that happens with that. We keep it interesting. So for the next 2 months, at least, we are focusing on abundance. And we use the conscious abundance model. Here's the things that you can enjoy with us. For the month of November, we'll be reading or we'll be discussing the gift of gratitude. So that's a journey that begins November 1st. And there's more to come on that. There's
Did we lose her?
Yeah, she looks pretty frozen.
She froze.
All right, let's give her a minute. Stand by, everybody. All right. All right, Christy, you cut off at the gift of gratitude.
the gift of gratitude. All right. The month of November, we're discussing the gift of gratitude, which is a personal experience that you experience for each day for 28 days from November 1st through November 28th. And so the power of our discussion is sharing, the miracles of gratitude that we may be experiencing in our own lives. And then in December, we're going to be going into the Law of Divine Compensation, which is by author Marianne Williamson, who is a teacher of A Course in Miracles. And I'm excited to do this one. I haven't read it yet. So we have some really amazing members that will all bring their experience of the books to the table. And then we typically will add some really good guided imagery, some power tools, those types of things to it. One of those power tools is the Quantum Abundance Kit, which I'm going to tell you a little bit more about. It involves frequency formulas. But first of all, this in the 28-day journal, there is another video, make sure to watch in our series with Being in Balance, where I explain this in more detail. But the story of it is I've had some powerful experiences using the gratitude process as a daily, really kind of part of meditation. And the impact it's had on relieving depression and other, mindsets, negative mindsets, longer than just the 28 days. I've seen it have enduring effect over months. So that's a good one. Okay. And next is a little bit more about these success formulas. So this can be used as a 6-week experience. The I'll just kind of walk through the 6 formulas real quick. Adrenal valor is used to balance your fight flight mechanism. And when some of us start to go into an abundant, it's change. If we haven't had, a certain type of job before, or a certain type of freedom or experience in life that feels abundant, it may be something that our subconscious will reject. And that shows up in our nervous system as an actual resistance. And so if you're not really strong in your nervous system balance, you can actually push away abundance. So that's one of our solutions. Spine align is another one. And this is where we are able to stand tall in our truth. And so sometimes our abundance is limited by smallness, just whether it's in our mindset or we're crouching or backing away from things that could be very beneficial, but because they intimidate us or we don't feel like we're powerful enough to experience that or hold that energy, we don't choose it. And so this emotional posturing can be part of, taking a leadership position, for example, or stepping into a conversation that could change our lives. Healing diseasey, that's the worldview shift. That's the formula where if you're looking out at the world and your perception is that there's too much, poverty, too much suffering, too much to even make a difference with it, this worldview shift could be a big answer, because it may be that shift in your mind to take on a purpose that creates more meaning around the abundance. Inner solution. I'm going to talk more about that one in just a minute. So I'm going to move on to face it lift. And face it lift is basically, it's a formula for managing or creating more optimism and managing the what could turn into like low motivation or slumping into depression or default, but facing the things. And it could be just balancing your checkbook, if we still do that anymore, getting online and looking at your bookkeeping and facing the things that seem overwhelming. Transformula, that is the formula that shifts belief structure and even can impact generational patterns. So whether that's before you or after you, there's, these formulas are all designed to work with your morphogenetic field, which is your information field. It's your quantum field. And in that are your genetics, which include things like passed on beliefs and lifestyles. So shifting that can be beneficial generationally. Okay. This kit also includes if you go back to the slide, there's a few pages of the Quantum Abundance e-guide in there. And we'll make sure that the link to get that, you can just get the e-guide for free and explore these all more along with the affirmations and intentions. Okay, next. So let me go into inner solution, because this is the perfect solution for a study of A Course in Miracles. It is the frequency formula for the ego. A couple of the things from inner solution that you'll see if you get the guide as well are it supports quantum level spiritual healing. It addresses blocks within your core personality, allows insight to dissolve pride, victimization, and self-sabotage. It even assists in healing spiritual depression, personality disorders, and imbalanced ego states. It can replace self-centeredness with true self-love. So a couple of affirmations. I'm willing to see the darkness within myself through divine light. Wow, right? The true me is worth discovering and uncovering, which really is the study of the Course. All right, on to the next, where you'll see a little bit more of that. So in A Course in Miracles, we learn to move from fear to love. Remember always that you see what you seek. For what you seek, you will find. The ego finds what it seeks, and only that. It does not find love, for that is not what it is seeking. The ego can work as, it can make you smaller, or it can make someone kind of authentically larger. And so, that ends up looking like arrogance. Whereas what I didn't realize is the ego can also make you more like victim or hide in your own, potential. So whatever that is, it's the patterning that it can shift. So another line from A Course in Miracles, you must look in before you look out. And another, when you want only love, you will see nothing else. It was powerful. All right. A little bit more on A Course in Miracles view of psychotherapy. And this is out of the back of the book. There's some amazing things in the appendix of the book, extra content. So in the process of psychotherapy, which is at the back, the changes the ego seeks to make are not really changes. And I kind of almost laugh at that until it's like not funny, but there are certain traits in personality disorders even where the whole agenda, I don't think the person realizes they're seeking and not finding. Like they'll go to multiple different therapists and fire every one of them, or they'll go on to multiple different antidepressants and none of them work. And so that's the kind of psychotherapy that the ego is involved in, more or less. And so this is interesting too. The healers, psychologists of the world may recognize the mind as the source of illness, but their error lies in the belief that it can cure itself. Yet must their cures remain temporary. So that's the other thing that will happen is that, in some of our ego, I guess dictates, we will find something that works for a while and then go to the next thing and the next thing. And so I'm guilty of it, but I can say that because of this course and the community and the other things around me, I stick with some things now. I really stick with some things. One is the formulas. The other is the study of A Course in Miracles and community. And so there's certain things that when we really stick with it and lean into it, it will take us on our journey. A journey without end, we could say. Okay. So it does take a miracle, literally. And I love that our program in all three groups, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the third one. We're actually going to give you the experience of the third one in just a minute. But all three groups are only $77 a month. And I had somebody say, now, wait, what is that? What? I think most people are used to at least $277, if not $577 for something like this with live, interactive, ongoing support that works. So let's go to the next slide where we may see miracles are happening. We have case studies even of members who we can compare even like a more intensive treatment for 4 months with just the premium membership for 4 months. And here's an example. So this is like the frequency of the person. If 200 to 300 are kind of the average range. And if you look at the very first row, you can see that, they're kind of average-ish with some lower ones. Look at that. Psychological was a 185 in that frequency. And that was December of 2024. By April of 2025, there were some shifts, but not a ton. And then if you look at this is where, April was where it was up to that point that there were some intensive programs and work going on. But it was after that, it was April to September that this person enjoyed the premium membership. And look at the shifts, especially that psychological, dramatic increase in financial increase, social increase. So the total average went up dramatically, and it was more from the membership in the community. So I'm actually not even offering 4-month programs right now. I'm offering the community because I know it works and it's affordable. So, okay, next this is another example. So you can see here more the change that happened from the 4-month program in the sum, for example. And this is a measurement of mindfulness and self-compassion. And these are traits that evolve with things like a meditation practice. And so you can see in there that it went up, yes, in the 4-month program, but it really continued up into that even above average level through the 4-month membership, which was just choosing, and this individual chose to be involved pretty much all 3 sessions a week. Okay. So finishing off with the law of divine compensation. And I'm looking forward to studying this in December. So basically, for those who want to do a 2-month program, you'll get this in your 2nd month. You'll get more than the 6 weeks of, support with the formulas. And to do all of that, even with the formulas, I don't know if I put the price in there, but it's only like $279 for 2 months and includes all 6 formulas. So I'll just read that she's teaching how to welcome prosperity into your life. Wealth and abundance are your birthright. Learn how faith and the right mindset can help you move beyond fear and open the door to miracles and possibilities. All right. Oh, we did perfect. Okay. So the last half of our session, we're going to turn it over to our regularly scheduled program with Julie and Joann leading us through our divine connection session. Okay.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we will be starting lesson 34 in the workbook for students. And it's amazing how it matches up with what Thaddeus was talking about and what Christy was talking about. Because the prompt for today is, I could see peace instead of this. So the idea for today begins to describe the conditions that prevail in the other way of seeing. Peace of mind is clearly an internal matter. It must begin with your own thoughts and then extend outwards. It is from your peace of mind that a peaceful perception of the world arises. 3 longer practice periods are required for today's exercise. 1 in the morning and 1 in the evening are advised, with an additional 1 to be undertaken at any time in between. That seems more conducive to readiness. All application should be done with your eyes closed. It is your inner world to which the application of today's idea should be made. Some 5 minutes of mind searching are required for each of the longer practice periods. Search your mind for fear thoughts, anxiety-provoking situations, offending personalities or events, or anything else about which you are harboring unloving thoughts. Note them all casually, repeating the idea for today slowly as you watch them arise in your mind, and let each one go to be replaced by the next. If you begin to experience difficulty in thinking of specific subjects, continue to repeat the idea to yourself in an unhurried manner without applying it to anything in particular. Be sure, however, not to make any specific exclusions. The shorter applications are to be frequent and made whenever you feel your peace of mind is threatened in any way. The purpose is to protect yourself from temptation throughout the day. If a specific form of temptation arises in your awareness, the exercise should take this form. I could see peace in this situation instead of what I now see in it. If the inroads of your peace of mind take the form of more general adversive emotions such as depression, anxiety, or worry, use the idea in its original form. If you find you need more than 1 application of today's idea to help you change your mind in any specific context, try to take several minutes to devote them to repeating the idea until you feel more sense of relief. It will help you if you tell yourself specifically, I can replace my thoughts of depression, anxiety, or worry, or my thoughts about the situation, personality, or event with peace.
Thank you. Can I just share one more thing? I think for our viewers who are new to all of this, that those who don't have a book, you can find it right online. And this walks you through kind of the structure of A Course in Miracles as well, where you can see the preface. The text is what we study on Mondays, and the workbook for students is the study for Fridays. And this is when we talked about psychotherapy and different things in the back of the book. So workbook for students, we just did lesson 34, correct? So you can see it right there. And it's beautiful. Yeah, it's a perfect lesson for an introduction to this. And We can even focus here on this little, it's just this phrase, right? Or either of these phrases. So there's two.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll hold that up maybe while we're meditating.
All right. So guys, remember it's an inward focus, not an outward focus. So you guys are going to have your eyes closed. So Julie, about, what do you say? 3 minutes?
Yeah, 3 minutes sounds good.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to repeat the three phrases. One is, I can see peace instead of this. And don't exclude any thoughts. Any thoughts that pop up, you apply that to that. The other phrase, I can see peace in this situation instead of what I now see in it. And then the last one is, I can replace my feelings of depression, anxiety, or worry, or my thoughts about this situation, personality, or event with peace. So just take a couple minutes.
Yeah, take a few breaths, settle in, and just let your thoughts roll with that.
All right. As you guys are focusing in on your inner thoughts, I'm going to go ahead and repeat the prompts one more time. I can see peace instead of this. I can see peace in this situation instead of what I now see in it. I can replace my feelings of depression, anxiety, or worry, or my thoughts about this situation, personality, or event with peace.
Go ahead and start to wrap up. Finish whatever thoughts are coming up. Take a few breaths. Come back when you're ready. No rush. Are there any particular thoughts that came up for you that you'd like to share?
I will say I'm finding I can be peaceful even preparing for a major event and combining it with multiple online sessions before the event, which yesterday got interesting. But moment to moment, I was still staying present and found time to help my daughter with math last night for her pharmacy tech final today, and to take pictures of her in her hot dog costume for Halloween with the puppy in a hot dog costume by the fire. Now that's fun. And I think it's because I'm living differently that I'm not in a racing state, at least not all the time. And I catch it when it starts to be too much and come back to the moment. So I've been really grateful to be in the moment despite everything else that's going on.
Yay. I love that. I'm glad that you're feeling at peace with all of this. What a blessing.
Did anybody find any resistance to the prompt?
Good question.
It's not a question we often ask, but it's good to know because there is information in resistance. Did you find yourselves resisting? Or did you find yourself resisting particular thoughts? Were you excluding any thoughts? Be like, oh no, these thoughts don't apply to this.
Honestly,
I want to
just
hear
felt
from Andrea.
excited.
Oh, Thaddeus, that's good.
I said I just felt excited, honestly.
Excited?
Yeah, I mean, I like this kind of stuff. I mean, this is what I get to do. Like, this is awesome.
This is awesome.
Wow.
You did so good with this. You're going to get to do more of it, believe me.
Yeah, so I'm just enjoying it. I mean, just enjoying the process. Yeah.
Mm.
And I want to bring attention to Andrea Haynes here with us. So she's a newly you're pretty much certified.
Almost. Yep. Super,
yes.
super close.
Super, super close. 0 Point Meridian practitioner who is supporting us with our, sessions and things that we're offering. We're making it more of a one-on-one individualized experience through, the use of formulas or, people can use the group, but they can also do one-on-ones. Andrea's available. Julie helps with those too sometimes. And yeah. So it's amazing to have, I love that thought about we are not, we can be not rescued, you could say maybe, but supported absolutely by others. And that's what community is for.
Andrea, you look like you had something you wanted to say.
I was thinking about Joann's questions. I don't know if I have answers to them, but I was working on, as far as like focusing on peace rather than, I was focusing on a relationship with my son and just getting that back to where it was and just kind of imagining different scenarios of like us together. We used to watch Little House on the Prairie, and we would sit together and hold hands together. And that was like one of my last thoughts, was just thinking about how we used to do that and hoping that we might be able to get back to that place. So,
Andrea, there are some times where you don't have an answer in society, let's just put it that way, because not in the world, because the world doesn't demand answers from you. Society demands answers for you. Sometimes you don't have them, and that's okay, because you yourself are discovering what those answers are, because you don't know what those answers are. You've never encountered them. So it is okay not to have answers. You can just sit and ruminate. That's why there's rhetorical questions. There are questions out there that don't have answers. We think they may have answers, but they're not answers that you can really fully grasp.
And sometimes it's powerful to realize your higher self has answers. And I think I find that through a study of A Course in Miracles, that there's a version of me that's higher frequency. And that higher frequency self knows things. And it's like, I can imagine, like, if I could go to my 2005 self and see her living alone in a trailer park and say, here's what's ahead of you, I wouldn't have believed it. I'd be like, there's no way. The family, the connection. I got to raise a child the entire time. I was apart from my kids in 2005. I wasn't even with them. And I just had that thought when you're saying that, like, oh my gosh, I used to love watching Medium. And I have a daughter now that sits and watches that with me. Very different than Little House on the Prairie, but we bond over it. And I would have known, I had no idea that was coming in my future in 2025.
Kind of like the Bruce Willis movie, The Kid,
Yes.
where they see their future self.
Mhm.
I had to watch that again. That's a good one.
Yeah.
And it's surprising how when the kid, it'd be like, it's almost like the kid doesn't believe that he turned into, like, I'm pretty sure the kid had his opinions about how he turned out. He's like, he didn't like how he turned out.
Mhm.
He's like, if I knew, I wouldn't have come here.
That's funny. I think
Go
we
ahead.
like how we turn out when we raise our frequency anyway.
Go ahead, Thaddeus.
Well, I was going to say sometimes the question is the answer. Like if you look at the book of Jonah, for example, it's only like 3.5 pages, but by the end of it, you know, Jonah's pretty much like asking God, why? And then God basically says, well, do I not provide for you? And pretty much leaves it at that. Like, shouldn't if because what's going on in that book, for example, is Jonah seeing like the wickedness of the city and how God actually ended up saving these people instead of you know destroying them like Jonah thought that God was going to do.
Mm.
And that question at the very end, I realized I was like, oh no, that's the answer right there. So sometimes like the question is going to lead you to that answer. It's going to be that answer sometimes. Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And the other thing I would suggest, Andrea, is I think I might have shared this in one of the other groups, and I don't remember who it was, but it kind of came out because of what we were reading in A Course in Miracles. We sometimes, there's nothing wrong with looking back and being nostalgic, nothing wrong with that. But when you stay in the image of that and you marry that form, you're not going to be able to bring that to now. I would say edit that image to see him how he is now and you having that bond with him over something different. It could be something completely different. It could be a different TV show. It could be like board games. It could be anything. Or just even going for a walk and just see yourself bonding with him now instead of how you used to bond then. Bring that bond forward with you, but just make him grow up, see him as he is to now, and just say that we're bonding now.
It's a good point because sometimes
Mhm.
nostalgia can be
Yeah.
like a drug.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that seems like a good segue for meditation.
Let's do it.
Are there any particular needs for prayers today?
I'd say for Saturday, tomorrow,
Okay.
and those who are experiencing this online, that that the effort that goes into this, because it's massive. And I do it not because it's not for the money, believe me. I look at how much can I spend, and not regret to put into this event, because it's about the mission. It really is. It's a mission of elevating people and and impacting lives in ways that people didn't even know were available, because we're making it available. And we just pray that those who are ready for this higher frequency solution and it's right for them, that they find it.
Mm-hmm.